bending, broken rule. Hound dog howling, bullfrog croaking. Everything is broken.
Thank you for joining us today. We're fortunate to have with us an attorney that has been with Cordell for some time and has taken the spot out of her busy schedule today to speak with us, Heather Biagi, who is one of the attorneys in our St. Louis office. Heather, welcome to the show. Appreciate you taking your time to be here with us. Today we are covering Ask a Lawyer on DadsDivorce.com. You sign on to the website, click on Ask a Lawyer, submit questions that you have, and we will try best to get them on our show. So we're going to jump right to it. We got a lot of ground to try to cover in the time that has been allotted to us and for your schedule. So our first question deals with a state that I'm pretty sure you're familiar with.
Missouri.
And it's dealing with rules and procedures, which is, I'm pretty sure you deal with that every day as well.
Absolutely.
Under this particular situation, this person went on vacation and came home and realized that all of his possessions have been taken out. I'm pretty sure as well you have encountered this in your practice.
Absolutely.
What advice would you offer to someone who's come back and they see that everything has been removed from the house?
Well, I guess my first question is, are you on file with the court? Is there any pending litigation? If there is, obviously I would be calling my lawyer to call opposing counsel and say, what gives? Where's all my stuff? You know, what's going on? If you are on file and your court allows you to do it, and state law allows you to do it, we have what's called a PDL or pendant light order, which is a temporary motion. I'd be getting one of those on file in order to make the court aware of the situation, and not only making the court aware, but actually having a mini trial on the issues with regard to everything. If you're not on file, this poses a little bit more of a problem. Technically, if you're still married, you know, you could call the police and say, hey, my wife took all my stuff, but police normally have the caveat of, hey, we don't like to get involved in these types of things, and what do you want us to do? Again, I guess that would lead me back to contacting an attorney immediately and trying to get a case on file, and again, bringing up a PDL or a temporary motion, a motion for temporary orders to be put into place if the two attorneys can't agree, hey, mom will bring back some stuff and whatnot. You know, as far as court getting into possessions, you know, if everything in your house has been taken, if we're being realistic, a court is not likely to divvy up each and every one of your possessions. I mean, I know nobody plans on getting divorced, but if you see the writing on the wall, I always advise my clients, you know, take the stuff that matters and put it somewhere safe. You know, don't ransack the house per se, but take the stuff, you know, mementos, keepsakes, anything, because if it's taken, there's no guarantee even through the litigation, even if there is a trial, and I don't mean to sound pessimistic here, but there's no guarantee you're ever going to get it back. You know, clearly it sounds like this gentleman was blindsided by what's going on. If he, in fact, is not on file, if he is on file, maybe it was something that possibly could have happened. You know, we get this question a lot, and there's no straightforward answer. Now, some states may have, if X happens, then Y is the conclusion, or Y is the answer. In the state of Missouri, it's not necessarily that way. It seems highly unfair, but again, your best course of action is to get in front of a judge and to say, she took everything, you know, we've got to get some things back in place, or we've got to get a protective order to protect the possessions until the case can be fully litigated, something along those lines. Dan, what have you...
Well, you bring up an interesting point regarding police involvement. 9 out of 10 times police do not like to get involved in domestic issues unless it's involving domestic violence. And if you call the police and you report that your wife has taken something from the house, they're not going to get involved. You don't have, unless you have a court order which would indicate that your wife is in violation and therefore in contempt, and they can enforce the order and have something brought back. But other than that, the two of you are married, and a police officer is not going to get involved in, you know, my wife took this, my husband took that. There are benefits, as Heather mentioned, to being on file, and she did mention the PDL motion, which is a temporary motion, as Heather mentioned, just to bring to the court's attention what has happened. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have a trial on it, but at least you have something on file that says, hey, look, this is what's going on, but you can try to work it out to help cut down on litigation costs. One thing that I would recommend before you do anything is to take inventory of what you believe has been taken and assess the value to that. what you think that the value is as you sit there today. Also, another remedy that you might consider is getting a temporary restraining order or a consent temporary restraining order, which would be that both of you agree not to lose or have encumbered or sell or destroy any property that the two of you agree would be marital. As Heather mentioned, it is probably most beneficial to you to take property that you believe to either be separate property or property that really means something to you to take out of the house before your wife or your husband would come in and remove it, because as Heather mentioned earlier, there is the potential exposure or the risk that you may not get that property back. And if you do, the court could assess a high value to it, and then you may have to be paying for that. So I think it's beneficial to take it, keep it in a safe place, and leave it there. And then that way, if you're brought before the court to answer a question as to why did you remove something, then you can just say that you didn't want anything to happen to it, but it's sitting in a safe place. Here's where it's at, and I promise that I'm not going to sell it, destroy it, encumber it, or do anything that would deface the property, lose its value, or anything that would cause some type of caution or alarm to the court or to your wife or your husband.